But all right, this is supposed to be game number 1. Just assume that these are late intros. Spawning on the top left side of the map is going to be Invictus Gaming's gym.
In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, it is PandaBearMe.
All right, so PandaBearMe, we got to see actually lose to another gym earlier. A little bit awkward. Oh, jeez. So, yeah, he's Jim rising before in the winners bracket is what sent him down here to this qualifying match. Now, this is a qualifying match. Really want to stress that. So, for both of these players, one hailing from China, the other, I think, from America, it is their last chance to get into DreamHack France.
Yes. Yeah, because we were trying to talk about it earlier, and we're pretty sure there's not an open bracket, unlike the other DreamHacks that are occurring. Austin and Montreal, that is. So it is their last chance. It'd be nice for both of these players, right? To go to France, totally.
I mean,
actually, for China, it's probably like a worse flight, but whatever.
I was gonna say, assuming that Rotterdam is casting DreamHack, as he often does, it's probably nicer for him if Jim gets through.
Yeah, he's such a Chinese player fanboy.
I think a lot of that has to do with the Protoss, but yeah, the Jim just was like the poster child of like NASL for so long, right?
Yeah, he was. Quick notes that the brackets just aren't updated, so it is the other qualifying match that's going to be cast after this, despite the brackets being way far behind.
Yeah,
just to make that clear. And it was different than the European one, where there's only the bottom 2 going down or going through.
So we actually have the Baneling Nest plays. I still can't get over how crazy this meta shift has been. Like, this wasn't just like one kind of okay strategy that eventually convinced people it was working. Like, the same day everyone started doing Banelings, and the same day everyone agreed like this is the way to go about it. Now, whether it's drops or whether it's actual busts, we've seen them in many different forms, but this is not going to be Baneling drops. This is actually going to be straight up Zergling drops.
Yeah, just Zergling drops for now. We'll see if this is to distract and follow up, or if it is just the symbol detection. Oh, no, there's the follow-up. So a little supply block, unfortunately.
More Lings possibly going to join the main. The Overlord is going to be a bit low, so maybe not. These ones can certainly tear down the Nexus if the Adepts don't respond to it. Pylon does get overcharged, and this will kill a couple more. Main finally gets cleaned up. Not a whole hell of a lot of damage done. About 6 workers dead, so not terrible.
Yeah, I think you really would expect that third cancel, though. At the very least, killing the pylons. So a little unfortunate there for PandaBearMe. It was also, as I said, supply blocked when that, wombo combo should have occurred. So that's quite unfortunate. Also not accompanied by the +1, which is what we usually see.
This one's got a couple Banelings in it. It's got to unload them before the actual Overlord dies.
Oh, that one got a pretty bad
nice
shot.
Graviton beam,
but
wait.
Still splashes.
This is like...
The more you know.
This is like useless packs of Fear Dragon. A Baneling in the air will still damage ground units underneath it? Question mark?
I feel like that was already one of his useless packs.
Oh, was it? I don't know.
It sounds very familiar. I think I learned this maybe in back when Banelings were popular in this matchup, but that was such a long time ago, like 3.5, 4 years ago. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And to sate the curiosity of a caps locked user here in chat, because I said it once, and I guess maybe it wasn't fully clear. I'll say it again. Kelazar and IA are waiting to play. The reason we're not casting them now is because their match isn't playing. We play this one first, then theirs afterwards.
Yes.
Who thought of that? What a crazy, innovative way to do something.
Right? Alright, so the Ling attack, not really working out for Panda. Oh, well, I spoke too soon, didn't I?
I love this idea, by the way.
Sequence.
Yeah, I love instead of going for 4 Banelings, you put some Lings in, because every time we've seen this happen, there's always a decent amount of probes left over that are like one shot from being killed. The Lings get the extra like 3 or 4 kills, bringing it up to 23. And this is certainly a very annoying tactic, but I applaud the use of said tactic.
Yeah. 23 probes is actually quite a bit. So while the Ling attack wasn't necessarily all wrong, didn't do very much, the Baneling drops have certainly made this worthwhile to invest in these Banelings and Lings. But he still has to follow up with either Baneling Speed, if he's going to stay on here, or like Hydras and Lurkers, and it's actually going to be Hydra Baneling Ling,
Hey,
which is certainly the composition we see.
I have to respond to something admin related real quick, so I'm putting here my UI type.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Okay. So Hydra Ling Bling is a very powerful composition, but of course it is very gas intensive. So this fourth base is probably going to want its extra gases, and you're also going to be one. You're also going to want to make sure that you actually are doing damage. Obviously, like if your banelings are denied with force fields, your Hydras, get wrecked afterwards because they don't have any more buffer. It could go very wrong. It's a very like gas dedicated type of push, but it's so explosive. It's worked really well for a lot of those Zerg team do it. It's just hard for Protosses to. I mean, they just got used to dealing with Roach Ravager all-ins, which is another possibility on this map actually. And now they have to get used to this new style that's been really hitting the ladder hard last 2 weeks, and hitting Protosses hard too. Where they might get the sentries, but they forgot how to the force field. It's been like a year because they really had to, or they don't get the sentries at all, and they go on autopilot, get charged out immortal, and they die to the push because they still don't have Archons, and they just the charge outs all get destroyed. And I mean, Jim, he's got like 2 sentries, which is going to be a little bit helpful, but he is going for charge and immortals. If you can get to Archons, if you can put them in the right position, they can act almost like as force fields because they soak so many banelings. So that's a really ideal type of scenario. And in fact, the push is already coming for PandaBearMe. He's breaking down these rocks, and that army is quite scary. In fact, he's breaking down both rocks, just really opening up that pathway really wide. There's going to be cut off by force fields, even though, again, there's not that many force fields to be had. But I would have honestly expected more banelings. We only have a couple more coming in here. PandaBearMe just doesn't have enough money to make that many more. And the charge lots, well, charge is finishing, they have not actually been made. I do like that Jim's still sticking on a depth now. They won't just collide into the banelings. But, I said that, and then they do. So, okay, whatever. But, enough of them survived. They took out the Hydras. The banelings were just seconds away from finishing. They could have saved all of those Hydras that were getting destroyed by those force fields, and maybe those Hydras could have taken out like 1 or 2 Immortals to really even up that engagement, but seconds too late. They still took out the Adepts. All the Hydras died. A lot of them did.
Yeah, I'm also good with camera again. Sorry about that. Thank you. All right, so for, I guess the follow-up to this, we still see the insistence on banelings, which I don't think is a bad choice, because at some point there's going to be Adepts or Zealots in that army. Like that's the way you spend your money as Protoss. They're going to be fodder. If the banelings can ever take them out, then mission accomplished. It's not a waste to have those banelings. What I question though, and I'm curious about, are these upgrades, because they're not going into like +2 for the Hydras or potential lurkers. They're going more melee for the Lings, which I guess I'll help the banelings a little bit, but for the most part, will this be enough to warrant? These Lings are going to go down really quick. They're not going to get a whole hell of a lot of hits off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do like that Jim he like purposefully put his charge lots in the back and then kept his Archons forward. So really hoping that the banelings would fight on them instead of those charge lots, or hell, even the Immortals, So the charge lots, they live and they take out the Hydras. But I mean, there's not really an engagement going on. It's just PandaBearMe being like, oh god, oh god, oh god, I don't have enough to deal with this, and running back home. Hoping the creeps would help out, hoping the reinforcements help a little bit. But I think Jim, he had a good enough first fight that he is starting to steamroll with his composition. He has a bigger army supply, and he has upgrades now as well. Those banelings really want to find something juicy to hit, but you look at this and it's just like mostly Immortal Archon right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually we don't see Storms or Sentries for that matter, but what's here and available is pretty good. Now Time Warp's going to go down. Zealots are actually on the front line this time, but the banelings aren't going to commit too much to it, so a little bit awkward. Like that line of creep is basically where Jim's willing to engage or not. And he does take the hits like a man at the end of the day, but loses all his Zealots for it. And I don't know, as good as Immortals are, the Archons aren't in the fight. They're struggling in the back. They got to get here on the front lines.
Yeah, well, even without those, the Immortals are still doing enough damage to the very weak Hydra that had no buffer at all anymore, and the charge lots being warped in from the Warp Prism, very key as well. They're going to take advantage of the lack of banelings. Give them another minute, more banelings, more problems, but it's only Lings now, and those are easily dealt with.
The observers are getting picked up by the Spore Crawl, a little bit awkward, but there's no lurkers to worry about. So Jim will take this first game in this best of 3. Very nicely done.
Sends me to the replays. I don't want to be in real plays, StarCraft, you stupid son of a...
What?
Did I take you back to the replay?
No.
Tab? Oh, well, nuts.
That's odd.
Can't explain it.
Tide goes in, tide goes out. Such a stupid reference. Okay, so we'll get game number 2 going in a moment. I don't think we're hosting these ones. I think they're just doing it, whatever, for the sake of time. But I'm definitely looking forward to Kelazur and IA afterwards. I think that's going to be a really fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Good guy Kelazur just chilling in the lobby for like 12 minutes now, but not bad. I will say, though, that looked like it wouldn't have been too bad for Jim, no matter how PandaBearMe did. Like, that, every fight, he just handled it really well, I felt. The only awkwardness was right at the end where he just kind of accidentally unleashed the Zealots into the Banelings, but at that point, no big deal.
Yeah, he had way too much. There's like a little bit of awkwardness when those Adepts were all clumped up too, but I feel like PandaBearMe was just a little off with his push, you know? It was only like 10 Banelings to begin with, and then an extra 10 into the fights as opposed to the big, humongous, powerful push. See if you can fix that.
Well, countdown's begun for Dust Towers. We'll see you guys in a sec. Oh, we have like an official update to the European qualifiers, by the way. There was a debate about a particular player, Clem, who was too young to actually play. So a lot of questions were raised earlier, like what's going to happen with that. He's unfortunately been told he has to wait 2 years. So that's kind of that really sucks for him. So he's passionate for 2 years. But also, Happy and Mini Razor ended up playing a best of 3 for the spot, and it looks like Happy did win. So Happy takes that spot from the European qualifier.
Yep.
Just an update for you all. But all right, game number 2 in this best of 3. This is the qualifying match for the North American bracket, and in the bottom left side, it is going to be the red Chinese Protoss, Jim, currently up 1-0.
In the top right, as the blue Zerg, it is PandaBearMe.
Now, PandaBearMe has not had a bad tournament. I mean, he got to the finals of the winner bracket, only to be knocked down here to the finals of the losers bracket. I mean, for him, this is probably one of his better tournament runs in general. The only other one I can think of would be when he almost beat Pulse for the latter qualifier for the same tournament. Ended up losing 2-3 to Pulse.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's... He's on the up and up, I suppose, as it should be. I guess could be argued with the whole new system not allowing Koreans, although we just talked about Poland. But actually seeing, you know, non-Koreans, because of course we have Chinese players in the qualifying rounds, but non-Koreans get into these qualifying spots. You know, actually seeing Neeb and Puck get to France and cheer them on.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly cool, but I was actually since you bring that up, this qualifier was a little bit confusing too, because even though these are the North American qualifiers, these are really the anywhere except Korea and Europe qualifiers. And allegedly, according to the admin, and I don't know if this is actually true because we didn't see anyone try and take advantage of it, but allegedly European players could have competed in this one too. They just couldn't have competed in both, so they'd have to pick this over Europe, for example. So I mean, this qualifier was really just like a mishmash of... This was the DreamHack Open.
Why that, but not North Americans could participate in Europe?
Zombie Grub, when you find the answer to that, let me know.
Okay, and expanding upon that, like that's not new. Okay, like for sure, like the last couple of years, it's always been like, North America, congratulations, you're your own. No, wait, JK, actually, you're not. Like you're gonna have to let in, like, you know, you have to let in C, you're gonna have to let in like Mexico and like, you know, South America, and just, you know, you're putting your own, I swear to God. And it's always been questionable as to why I guess they were the ones that do that, because Europe does not have that same deal. I mean, who does Europe have to let in to?
I guess all of Europe.
Just all of Europe. I mean, that's a lot of different countries, right? But it is just like Europe. It's less. I mean, you could say that it's just deceiving, but
if you remember, we actually had segmented European qualifiers a few DreamHacks ago, where there was like the northern part of Europe, the southern part of Europe, the eastern part of Europe. Like, they actually had 4 different like qualifier blocks.
I remember that. So
I mean, it's really easy to say Europe and think of it like America, but Europe really is insanely more populated. Not necessarily bigger, mind you, but more populated.
Yeah, but it's just so, I guess the better word is deceiving, not like unfair, but deceiving that it's called like something like a North American qualifier, but it's really like just everywhere except Europe and Korea qualifier.
Well, I mean, it's so much easier to type NA than that.
It really is, but it's still deceiving. Like, you know, you tell this to, you know, the North American hopefuls in the beginning of 2016, and they're like, finally, we're gonna get our shot. But then they have, everyone else suddenly like, yeah, we also have our shot, so move over.
Yeah. So once again, we've got some banelings morphing in. We're gonna have that Overlord doing the drops. I mean, well, a lot of things went wrong for PandaBearMe that game. His drops did not. He nailed it with the harass. He got so many probe kills before any real engagement came down. So I like that he follows up with these tactics. I thought they were quite good.
I feel like we haven't seen this in a while on Dusk Towers. I guess like Protoss were just getting too good at defending and predicting the Ling drop combined with the Ling attack, but not Jim. Jim is certainly surprised in the main base, although he's trying to deal with the third base, but it looks like it's not going to happen. He needs to cancel it.
Yeah, well, that goes on. The Lings in the main are really getting a lot of damage done. They killed the only thing here to defend. Phoenixes are coming out. That's not a bad choice. It's weird to look at this, but well, they can't lift up all these Lings. But they can stop the Overlord from bringing more units into the base, which is kind of an important detail. So he saw this and pulls the Overlord back. Keeps that alive for future drops. Ling's once again taking on 2 Zealots, so Probe's gonna die next. Ling's also getting into the main once again, and Jim now in a lot of trouble. He's got a Depths protecting that mineral line. Finally warps in some new units to protect this mineral line, but new Ling's gonna say, hey, those aren't Adepts, let me have at her.
Yeah, this is really bad for Jin. Now down 16 probes. More importantly, okay, 17. More importantly, that third Nexus is still not replanted. Jim does not have enough money to replant it.
Oh, that's what the Forge is too, so upgrades are stalled out as well.
Yeah, even if he had the time to get those upgrades. Not going to go down, of course. This is too few Lings now being pumped out. But PandaBearMe, he is droning now. Of course, he had 3 bases. He's going to saturate them. And he needs to get to tech, of course, as well. But his lair is done. He's getting +1. We'll see what his lair tech choice is. I'm going to guess Hydras once again. But
you know
Jim,
what would be interesting?
A lot of damage. What's up?
Seeing the dynamic of somebody like PandaBearMe take True's tactics of just like macro hatchery 5th base all Ling all in. Like, it worked really well. I'm curious to see if somebody like PandaBearMe could pull off those sort of tactics.
I wouldn't be surprised if he is studying maybe in the future. No?
Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see. But +1 melee is still being emphasized here, so he'll have that going for him. Hopefully it goes to +2, because +2 makes the banelings significantly more potent. We always talk about the dynamic versus probes, but also makes it a lot easier to kill Zealots and Adepts. But, the Phoenix is heading back home. Baneling's going to drop top of the mineral line here in the main. A couple Lings pop out too, but let's be honest, they haven't killed much this time around. Good reactions out of Jim. Made sure to pull those back really quick. Gets like maybe one more drop. Oh, wasted on the Zealot. That was awkward. Auto attack priority can sometimes be a real pain in the butt in this game.
Yeah? Just bring up auto turrets?
Yeah, actually, there you go right there. That's a prime example.
Anyway, so it was Hydralisk. That was the choice, and it's not very surprising. It's going to have to deal with the Phoenix a little bit, but more importantly, it's just going to be a very powerful push. Oh, well, the Phoenix catches 3 of them. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, good start.
Even 4.
It's a bit frustrating when you watch that rally happen. But Overlord starts up once again, and we're going to have round 2 of the attempted drop to the natural, I guess. So many of these are still low from earlier. They might just get it. Doesn't start up upgrades again, though. So he's still, like, this is a really far away drop. This will probably come in. Whatever. But what's he doing with the follow-up to this? Like, he's not planning to just bleed out Hydras for the rest of his life. So is a Lurker Den going to start? Are we going to see +2 melee? Are we going to see +1 range? Like, what's PandaBearMe thinking right now?
I'm going to guess just a huge push to the front with Ling, Baneling, Hydra, but you would at least see, like, +2 or, and more specifically, like, centrifugal hooks. You think would be a part of this if that was his plan. And he is just getting army right now. He's at 68 drones, so that's, he doesn't have to really drone anymore. But what else tech is coming behind this? This Overload drop not gonna do too much.
I really wish we would have seen him like fake an Overlord drop, seeing the way Jim's responding to this. Like going with a completely empty fake Overlord to the main, have the Phoenix jump on that, then bring the real one into the natural or something along those lines. That would be certainly cool to see.
But yeah, we've seen that from other players, and it was pretty cool. Well, actually, I think the last time we saw it, they intended to scare their opponent, but their opponent didn't react to it.
Yeah, like, I thought you were supposed to be a better player than you are.
Yeah, whoopsie. But here is that main push that I guess I figured PandaBearMe was going to try and do, try and end the game after doing such devastating damage in the early game, but very odd to see without anything further. Like, the centrifugal hoax never started, and +2, or even +1 for the Hydras.
There's a lot of force fields available for this. 3 sentries, one of which is full energy. The other 2 are not too bad. I mean, I would be shocked if the Banelings actually got through to really devastate this, but we'll see if he gets those force fields. First ones are a little bit bad from Jim, so oh no! The Banelings get on top of everything. They trigger the shields on top of the Immortals. Phoenix can come in from the side and try and do what they can, but they can't really contribute that much. The Hydra count just kind of out of control, flooding with 32 more Lings behind this. GG gets called, and PandaBearMe is going to tie up the series 1-1. All right, well, guys, as we are going to get into the ace match next, game number 3, this will determine who goes through to play in DreamHack in France. We're going to play a small break while we get into the lobby, though, so don't hold up. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. All right, it's tied up 1-1 as we get into game number 3. This will determine which of these 2 players will be playing the WCS Spring Championship over in France. Both players have played pretty well in the series, and we'll see who takes this final match. Quick reminder before we introduce the players, though, that Kelazur and IA have not started their games yet, and we will be casting those after this, and that will be the last possible qualifying match. So spawning here in the top right side of Invader, it is going to be the red Protoss player, Jim.
In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, it is PandaBearMe.
PandaBear who?
You.
Me?
Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar? Oh,
Wasn't
God,
me. Couldn't be. Then who?
Flashbacks. Yeah.
That
what
and Duck,
is...
You know what? Duck Goose gave me such anxiety as it would come closer and closer, and you're like, because sometimes you'd be like, pick me, and then they wouldn't. It was disappointing. And sometimes you're like, don't pick me. I was getting closer. Oh God, don't say Goose. Don't say Goose.
I loved that game, actually.
But we should play that if we get enough people in DreamHack.
It's gonna be so stupid, like adults sitting in a circle.
Well, you know what's such a bullshit thing about the game, though? It is like inherently unfair, though, because the other person has to get up and then run. The other person just runs, and you're kind of like, well, of course they're gonna sit down before.
Yeah, of course. You know, so even though I was like I was definitely not the fittest when I was a kid. I was always very like active, so I was always like good in PE. But
you were a good goalie, is that what you're saying?
No, actually, I wasn't.
Oh, man, because you take up more than that.
I know, but I was just shooting down your insult, alright, buddy?
Okay, sorry.
Anyway. Just like I shot down your goal. Alright, anyway. I was gonna say
you aren't a good goalie, so that doesn't work.
Whatever, shut up. I was gonna say there's the games that you play where it's like, you know, there's like one team on one side, but there's like the defending team, and it was basically tag, but it was like team versus team. So, like, the running team would have to run through all of the taggers to get to the other side, and if they were tagged, they had to sit down. Or sometimes it'd be like a zombie version where if they're tagged, they become the taggers.
Man, this just sounds like a combination of Full House and Red Rover.
I don't know what game Full House is, but I remember Red Rover.
No, the show. Wasn't that the last name? Taggart or something?
Oh, I had no idea. I thought you were talking about the show, but you brought up another game. I was very confused. I don't know.
Well, Red Rover is like Red Rover. We call Zerglings over, and then they run through your lines.
Yeah, I remember that game. But I never watched Full House, so we would have backed up on that one. Point is, it was a fun game, and I was really good at it. We should play that.
Okay.
There's like,
if you can remember the actual rules.
I did. There's different ways you can play it. Like, you can have one person start off on the defense, and it's just zombies. Like, you know, one person goes at a time, and they have to try and accrue as many zombies as possible. Or there's actually like teams of defenders and attackers. And then sometimes in PE they would get the little like rolly they weren't skates, they were just like things you could sit on, and they rolled, and you would have to like, you know, like crab walk kind of backwards was the fastest way to do it. No?
Oh. You know what? Full House was Tanner. I take it back. I just remembered. I misremembered the last name.
I'm getting really excited.
DJ Tanner.
Thinking about all these old PE games you used to play.
Okay,
or Ship to Shore. No?
While you get excited about that, I would like to note that PandaBearMe is once again going to be going for some drops. The Evolution Chamber is not done yet, so he can't quite do it, but he did get Overlord speed pretty darn quick. Now, Invader is a map where I almost feel like these drops are actually a little bit less effective, and mostly because of how small the bases are. It's very easy to respawn from one to another. take a map like Frost or any other, like your natural base, like Invader, kind of close. Dusk Towers, depending on which base you took, your natural, your third, it's kind of further away, so it's harder to get back and respond to the links in time. The double Stargate at the gym is certainly interesting, though, and I'm curious what direction he goes. It could just be Mass Phoenix.
Well, like you brought up earlier, they would at least clean up the Overlords, but okay, let's chase in a lot of lings. But the Phoenixes are not it either, so they might get a couple of probes.
Yeah, I mean the Adepts are here, so this really shouldn't be. I really can't see Jim.
4, 5, 6.
No. Okay, well, this is getting more kills than I expected with 3 Adepts defending. I do want to comment, though, that these Phoenix in double amount are going to be so much better at picking off the Overlords. As we watched last game, one Phoenix only barely pushes the Overlord back. It doesn't really take it out too easily, but 3 to 4 Phoenix should easily be able to kill any Drop Lord. So the problem isn't necessarily dealing with the lings inside the base if they can never get inside the base in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. This will make life a little bit easier for Jim. But still not the easiest, you know? Like, okay, he cleared up the Overlord, so that wasn't the only thing PandaBearMe had in his pocket here. He still has the actual push that's going to involve Hydras and Banelings once again, no doubt. So hopefully it'll be a little more on points in this game than it was in the very first game on Frozen Temple. As I said, like in that first game, he had this push that followed up a lot of damage too, but the push itself was a little offbeat. It was missing that mass amount of Banelings that was very scary, and maybe in this game it'll actually be on point. But Jim, I mean, these double Phoenix is certainly going to be a lot to work with, but are they actually going to find an opening here? Are they going to find Overlords? They haven't been doing too much damage.
Well, +1 melee finishes up here shortly, and if you are going to go for a hell of a lot of Phoenix, unfortunately, they will struggle with what is purely lings. Forget the Banelings for a moment, but just purely lings. And Adepts, well, they are these balanced, whiny, good units. They still won't contend if they are fully surrounded, and if a couple of Banelings connect on top of that, too.
I thought the Hydra's going to come down as the lair finished up, but if it's not the Hydralist end, then well, there's the Hydralist end. The Banelings have to be made right now, though, because of these Adepts, of course, but when they go to defend against the Adepts, that's where the Phoenix are going to try and pick up all the Banelings, and they might just be able to. There's quite a few Phoenix.
Well, there's also no defense from here, the natural, so awkward start for PandaBearMe as Jim just completely pushes off the base. Now, there's that surround we were looking for. Some Banelings are going to crash into the Adepts, but man, that's still so many lings to deal with.
The Adepts ended up only getting 6 drones for what I thought was a good combo, like the Phoenix covering with those Banelings and the Adepts getting past, but okay, well, here's a few more. Nova goes down, a couple more drones.
Yeah.
But PandaBearMe did end up taking the engagement like I think he wanted.
The other side of the map, too, there's not that much in terms of defense, so actually these Adept Warpins will block out the lings, but kind of like a for now. It doesn't have another Warpin coming, so this Adept's going to go down. Ling's going to get on top of the pylon. There's so many lings, and they've got +1. They should be able to tear this down. Well, this game for a moment looked like this was going to be an easy win for Jim. Suddenly, he finds himself in a whole hell of a lot of struggles back at home.
He does.
I'll kill the pylon. Kill the pylon.
Phoenixes.
The Stargates.
And, you know, the Phoenixes, they're finally back here, and there are so many Phoenixes, 15 Phoenixes, but they're still going to have a lot of trouble picking up every single ling. The reinforcing lings will probably come after the energy is depleted from the Phoenix.
I love that he used the Banelings, knowing that they get picked up, just sends them into the pylon. Like, he could have tried to whittle them into the middle line, I don't know, but he actually uses them still rather than have them die for nothing. Phoenixes are really low on energy, and as you said, I think the reinforcements might just be a little much. The wall was replaced, though, so it's not without... Like, there's no easy flood in, but they should be able to tear down everything here. That looks like that should not be a wall.
Yeah, I was
that
so worried.
Should not
Certainly,
be a wall.
Jim probably was too. But the Adept Open occurs, and he's not going to be able to break the wall again. So, thankfully, Jim does stabilize. But, you know, without a third base, with Phoenixes that... I mean, it's so scary to see what is now going to be 18 Phoenixes, because they can dive on top of Overlords, but they haven't really been that fearsome yet. But here they go. They are diving on top of a Spore Crawler. They get a couple Overlords. They get a couple of those Hydras. One of them goes down, one of them gets very low. I mean, they still
just stuck with the lings. Like, I think taking the Banelings, busting the front wall, flooding with more lings. Like, I don't know about the transition to Hydras, to be honest.
if he ever got to a nice count, then that obviously would be the devastating, you know, counter to Jim. But
Right,
to
but-
get to a nice kind of Hydras when they already have 17 Phoenix, 16 Phoenix,
16, yeah. That one
Would be-
awkwardly dies.
would be difficult, especially since, you know, you're going to have, ideally, and PandaBearMe is messing this up, by the way. Oh, things in the main. You just have like 6 in each base, but they can't all get together. They can't party up because the Phoenixes are keeping them low, but the Phoenixes are actually catching them misrallied. I think PandaBearMe has now fixed it.
Well, he's kind of got an account that's big enough that, yeah, even if you hide around a spore pole, you just dive in for it. And this is why I think Lings are better, because you just can't pick up every single one of the Lings. He's done so much damage. Jim is on 29 workers. He's still stuck on 2 bases. The Phoenix, I feel, your best bet at this point isn't dealing with them directly. It's going around them. It's like the Protoss Armada, right? Like, if you've got a bunch of Tempest and Carriers, the idea is not to fight that head on. It's to run around it because you can never win that fight. Same sort of logic here with the Phoenix. There's just too many of them. Like, he's just not getting the Hydralisk count that he needs. But if he starts darting around the map with like 100 Lings, the Phoenix can't possibly deal with that.
Yeah, that is true, but unfortunately, to dart around, there would have to be, you know, not walls, basically. Like, and with the wall off and the amount of adept that Jim had, and no attempts to take a third base, there's not much that PandaBearMe could threaten. What's the word? Threaten. After his, you know, initial Overlord should have been cleaned up, although it has not been. You think that would have been it?
The Phoenixes may be tentative to get in here, but the Adepts certainly are not. They're going to get right in that mineral line. Banelings are going to surprisingly catch some of them, but not nearly enough of them.
These Phoenix are going to win the game. Now, I think a lot of the reason PandaBearMe was trying to macro out of this with Hydras was not just because, okay, this is the next step and I'm doing it blindly, but because he saw the lack of a third base and figured there's no way he's going to win just pure Phoenix, right? But that might be what's happening. I mean, the Adept are helping out, of course, a little bit here, but the Phoenix is really what's taking control. And Jim, I mean, he may not be straight up winning right now, but he certainly did enough damage to equalize the workers. He can now probably take a third base if he wanted. His army supply is actually simply out of control, even though it is on the Phoenix.
Invictus getting hype?
PandaBearMe, no. He did such a good job in the early to mid game, and then the Hydralisk choice.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, I think if he replays this game, if we like recovered from replay, same player, same situation, but instead of going Hydras, he just floods Lings, throws down a 4th hash rate for macro, I think he wins the game. I think there's no doubt in my mind he wins the game.
Yeah, I don't know. This is always the problem with that would be that maybe you just, you know, they realize they can't pick every single Ling up, so it becomes a really stupid, you know, attempt to kill all your Overlords so you can't reinforce anymore, or to kill all your drones so you can't reinforce anymore. I don't know. There's so many Phoenixes. Sure, double Stargates happened before and mass Phoenix happened before, but I think the most you've ever seen is maybe 12, 14, and then you start to just die off and forget to remake them.
In 1v1s, yeah.
And in not PvPs.
In 2v2s, we've seen so many Phoenix.
Yeah.
But okay, that is going to send Jim to France. So Rotterdam somewhere out there is smiling, I tell you what. But congratulations to Jim, as he will take the series over poor PandaBearMe, who will sadly not get another chance to play, as this was the loser's bracket. And that being said, we've had these other guys on wait, so we're going to quickly get this commercial break out of the way and hop into Kelazur, who's been waiting 38 minutes in that lobby, oh geez, to play against IA. Last possible match for these qualifiers coming up next. We'll see you guys in 2.